What? Who should I be sorry to? Who should I be sorry for? Who should I be sorry to? Talk to him. The fact is, yeah. What? Welcome. It is I, your garrulous host, Mr. Part of My Rude himself, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the nCompassD podcast. And I just want to start off by saying getting this podcast recorded has been so difficult. And at first, I could not understand why. It had been so hard for me to get this done. I'm an independent contractor now, have a little more flexible schedule, and it seemed as different things kept coming up against me or impeding me from getting this done. It was a constant struggle, a constant fight to make this happen. And then I realized what was going on. The top segment for today's episode is very powerful. And the enemy did not want me to share it with you all because I truly believe someone will be liberated and freed from some anguish, some situation when they hear this top segment today. Now, before I get into the nCompassD news of this past week, I want to shout out the growth of the podcast. We have surpassed 500 listens and have reached a total of 10 countries and 100 cities throughout the world. So remember, spread the word, share with your family and friends, like, follow, comment, subscribe. I tend to always forget to say that when I'm recording. So don't forget, like, comment, follow, subscribe. No matter what service you're listening on, you can hit the notification or follow button so that you are made aware as soon as the episode drops and you can tap in with the podcast. Now in nCompassD news, I want to start in Texas. I continue prayers with those who were impacted by the catastrophic tragedy on last week. My focus on this episode is not so much to delve into the tragedy as the death toll continues to rise, but I want to focus on the hypocrisy coming from Texas officials and lawmakers. I know I told you last week that officials tried to lay blame at the feet of the National Weather Service, and the National Weather Service hit them with the "try Jesus, don't try me," and told them, hey, our forecasts were not off. We gave warning. We advised that flash flooding could be a major issue. So it wasn't the forecast. The biggest issue was that the notification being sent out to residents about the rising waters was not significant or sufficient. And yes, this was greatly impacted by budget cuts and understaffing. But furthermore, reports came out that Kerr County, which is the county in the spotlight right now with this tragedy, repeatedly requested funding for improved flood infrastructure improvements, only to be denied and shot down by Texas lawmakers. So as they try to deflect and place blame in other areas, they need to look in the mirror. And to make this even worse is that this county is located in what they call Flash Flood Alley. So why would you not, I don't want to say come to the aid, but adhere to what the residents are requesting when they come to you saying, hey, we need to improve our infrastructure and need to improve our notification system, and you deny them. So, really, man? Again, my prayers are with those impacted, and if you would like to help Please research the appropriate organization that you want to reach out to assist with this. I'm not going to promote any one particular organization. Definitely research and make sure that you find the proper one that fits with what you want to do. Next on the docket, in the episode of If at First You Don't Succeed, Pick Yourself Up and Try Again, the mayor of New York, the former governor of the state of New York, Andrew Cuomo, is running for mayor of New York City as an independent. That is news. However, that's not what makes this as newsworthy. See, Andrew Cuomo just lost the Democratic primary a couple of weeks ago. So he said, okay, y'all won't move me forward in this New York City election as a Democrat. I'm going to just run as an independent. And, I get it. Find your way to get in, get your foot in, or they say get in where you fit in. But I need him to slow down because there was a debacle back in 2021 that caused him to have to resign as mayor in the first place. If I'm not mistaken, there were, I believe, about 11 women accusing him of a sexual assault or sexual harassment. And even Joe Biden had stepped in and called for him to resign. So him coming back to run for one of the most prominent mayoral positions in the country is very interesting. I would think he would just chill out, from this level of politics and lay back. But, I guess he thinks the people have forgiven him. We definitely haven't forgotten, so we'll see how this plays out. And moving forward, the economy is still very shaky. It doesn't take much for me to tell you that. You can look all around you. Gas prices, egg prices, home prices, everything is just in flux. But with all of this uncertainty, the Federal Reserve decided to maintain interest rates where they were. And, of course, this continued to cause Trump's underwear to get in a bunch or stay in a bunch. So much so that reports have come out that the Fed Chair Jerome Powell has thought about resigning before his tenure is up next May. Now, Trump has come out and denied reports that he was planning to fire Powell before that May 2026 time frame. But, can we really trust his word? Now, I do have one question for y'all, and I just want to know, how many of y'all know any white dudes whose name is Jerome? I'm just curious. I don't know any. Not a single one. And he's an older white dude. Pretty interesting. But sticking with the economy, the U.S. dollar continues to weaken, and I honestly don't see it getting better anytime soon, particularly with this stupid big bill that was just passed and the increase in the U.S. deficit. But hey, we'll see. Now, finally, I want to end this segment talking about how active Atlanta was this past weekend. When I say back outside, boys, back outside boys and girls, because it was just jumping in the A. We had a WWE, I don't want to call it pay-per-view anymore because it streams on Peacock, but a big event, a 2-day event on Saturday and Sunday. There were MLB All-Star festivities going on from Thursday to Tuesday, but the crown jewel of the weekend, of course, was Beyonce. Beyonce had 4 shows in 5 nights, and I will say that the economic stimulus package that is Queen Bee was insane all weekend. I don't have the exact numbers right now at time of recording, but I would be remiss if I didn't say I know it was a boom. Now, with all this joy was a bit of tragedy per se. There was on the last night some injuries to some concert goers who were leaving, and there was a issue with an escalator in the MARTA station that collapsed, and several people were injured. I think I read somebody broke their ankle, somebody broke their leg, little girl got trampled. I have not heard of any fatalities, but it will be interesting to see how things play out from here in regards to any repercussions that may come from this. So yeah, now let's move on to what Trump done did now. Now, first I want to bring up this whole Epstein saga, debacle, foolishness, tomfoolery. You can call it whatever you want to. But it's a bunch of mess. And not that I believe he may have directly told anybody to do anything specifically, but what I do believe is he is aware that his Justice Department came out or was going to come out saying that there is no Epstein list after all these years of many agencies saying that there was a list. Even up to recently, reports were saying that the list will be released. It's on so-and-so's desk. This whole mess that came out saying that it was no list, and Trump wanted to say that, Obama, Hillary, and Joe Biden made up the fact that there was a list. Sir, what are you talking about? And it's just a continued reflection on the ridiculousness of this administration that just befuddles me. And that's why this is in this section of what Trump done did now, because it's a continued reflection of him and the idiotic nature of what he has going on. And I mentioned that first because I truly think that this was brought out to continue to kick the proverbial immigration issues and raids can down the road, so as to put up some smoke and mirrors. Now, I'm not a usual, they're just trying to distract us type of person, but I truly believe that's all this Epstein crap is all about. Just look at it. Starting to get peace in these different regions, although some strikes had stirred up. They need something else to be talked about. They need, the sleight of hand to continue, and I think that's what this is. Now, in more what Trump done did, he is continuing his tariff shenanigans, and he continues so much back and forth, giving some countries extensions, setting deals that really aren't deals or much changes to what was already in place. So, he continues to go back and forth with the tariffs. He leveled some more tariffs recently that really has no economic impact. I think his administration threw out some fluffed up number about how much the tariffs have brought in. We don't believe you. You need more people. But what really got me in regards to the tariffs is my daughter was like, hey, when did Shein become so expensive? And I said, baby, since these tariffs went into place, the prices of Shein clothing items have drastically increased. What was once $3 is about $18 now. So yeah, just wanted to keep you in the know on that. The tariff shenanigans continue on. Finally, and quite honestly, I'm going to say sadly, the Supreme Court has removed the injunction blocking Trump's mass federal layoffs. And I'm just going to be honest with y'all. This stuff is draining, man, because they're playing with people's lives. And not like they're playing with them as if this is just a game of Sims. Like, bro, what do you... I don't understand it. I don't think anybody understands it. But, Project 2025 was real. You were forewarned that it was real. And now that it is here and in place, hopefully, you'll listen. Um, it, I don't want to say it's too late, but there's some impact that can be made with the upcoming elections, congressional, legislative elections, local elections. Maybe you'll pay attention and it grabbed you by your collar to force you to get involved and be in the know. So with that being said, we have arrived at a very important top segment. A top segment that, as I told you earlier, is so powerful that I had the enemy fighting against me. Simple as that. So, without further ado, top of the world. Yeah. Top of the world, baby. Top of the world. We'll go top of the world. Top. Yeah. It's our top segment, y'all. Now, in this top segment, I want to take a dive into the thought process involved with forgiveness. And I want to answer the question of, is it worth it? Now, I'm going to ask you a question. And after I ask you this question, I'm going to give you a second to answer the question for yourself. Now, have you forgiven someone, not because they deserved it, but simply because the notion brought a feeling of peace and calm over you? Sit back. Think about it. What's your answer? Yeah, I have. And I can honestly say that it was very calming. It was very peaceful. And it truly was more about how this release was all for me and about me instead of the other person. Now, I'm not going to dive too deep into it because I've talked about this on our Fatherhood Special podcast. And so if you want to hear about it in detail, go listen to that podcast, part 1 and part 2. But part 2 is on my platform. But this situation involved my father, and my father not being a part of my life growing up. And as I got older, I forgave him and released him from whatever wasn't in place, whatever was missed. Didn't matter at that point. I released him from that, and there was some more to it, but essentially I forgave him. Because one, I've never been one to harbor the weight of someone else's guilt on me. I'm good enough carrying my own stuff. Why am I going to carry yours and mine? Now, with that, I want to look at the notion of how past generations were taught to just move on. You've been hurt, okay, suck it up, move on. Versus the trend, or not, I don't want to say trend because it makes it seem as if it's temporary, but the mindset today that there's a better focus on emotional boundaries. We're not just moving on. There's going to be some guidelines that you have to face. So as we dig deeper in this top segment, we'll look at that. So as you know, although I haven't done it in the past couple episodes, the foundation of this segment is words have meaning. So we're going to break down the meaning of the word forgiveness, understanding that the root word is forgive. So I'm going to do the definition based off forgive. And there are multiple definitions, but we're going to focus on this one particular definition that says, stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, a flaw, or a mistake. Now keep that in mind. That is our definition for forgiveness. Now, with this word defined, let's look at it how it's impacted people culturally. Ooh, Lord, I messed that one. Culturally, religiously, and also psychologically. Now, let's start culturally. In many cultures, and across many cultures, forgiveness often reflects communal values, seen as a way to maintain harmony and restore relationships. And traditionally, you see this communal level of forgiveness in indigenous African and Asian traditions. Again, as I told you in previous episodes and early iterations of the podcast, although this may not specifically apply to you in the general nature, that is how forgiveness is applied in these traditional cultures. Now, in some Western contexts, forgiveness may be framed more around personal freedom or individual emotional relief. Now, if you look at the cultures impacted by systematic oppression, again, some of these indigenous African and Asian cultures, they may use forgiveness strategically. And the strategy in it is done sometimes to reclaim agency, sometimes to survive in an unjust system. And honestly, I've seen this greatly in the black community when you think about all that we've endured in America, from chattel slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights era, and so forth. We've used forgiveness in this capacity. We are a very forgiving people. And quite frankly, sometimes I don't think we should be as forgiving, and we should choose violence, figuratively and literally. However, at our core, it's not what we've done. Good and bad in some ways, but we're sticking to facts, not feelings. Now, let's look at the religious aspect of this. Religiously, forgiveness, really parallels fundamentally across many different religions. I don't want to say all of them, but if you look at the highly known ones, the concept of forgiveness parallels. In Christianity, which is my area of practice, forgiveness is foundational for your walk with Christ. It's mentioned many times over in the Bible, even mentioned when Jesus is being crucified, down to the renowned Lord's Prayer. In the part, forgive us for our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Now, I want you to understand that this isn't just a moral directive, but very much the practice of the faith. Even to the point, repentance is a request for forgiveness of your sins. So as I said, it's foundational in your walk. Now, me, yes, in a practicing Christian, understanding the foundational nature of forgiveness. But personally, I lean a little toward the framing for forgiveness in Buddhism, and it's framed as a path to inner peace, releasing attachment, resentment, and suffering. It's less about the offender and more about freedom from anguish. So think about that. And I'm going to dive into that a little more on the psychological side of things. Psychological forgiveness is defined as the conscious decision to release resentment towards someone who harmed you, whether they deserve it or not. And remember, I asked you earlier, have you ever forgiven someone who may not have deserved your forgiveness? Yeah. You're releasing yourself. Forget them. And psychologically, there are studies that show that forgiveness can help improve your mental health, reduce stress, and even lower blood pressure. There's a study at Johns Hopkins Medicine that took this a bit further, saying that forgiveness lowers the risk of heart attack, improves sleep, and reduces pain. And by contrast, chronic anger can increase the risk of depression, heart disease, and diabetes. Now, with this, realize that forgiving does not require forgetting or even reconciling. And this is where it comes into play of setting those emotional boundaries to protect not only your mental state, but your peaceful state. And sometimes you may feel pressured to forgive, but realize you don't have to forgive based on someone else's timeline. Forced forgiveness can be and likely is damaging. So, in that regard, don't rush to forgiveness. If you're not at a space where you are comfortable in giving this forgiveness, don't rush to it because it's a controlling mechanism. And many times, people rushing you to forgive, or they want to operate under the notion to forgive and forget. And they weaponize this. And in weaponizing this, it is a control factor. You know, it allows the perpetrator to manipulate not only you, but the circumstance. And even try to kind of skate by the true issue and the root cause. And so, sadly, this is often used against women, survivors, be it man or woman, and also communities that have been harmed by systematic oppression and violence to keep them suppressed. Now, hear me out. How many times have you had someone who has tried to manipulate you to forgive them so that they can continue to get what they want? It's not about you. It's all about what they can get. That is not healthy. That is not good for you. And you're not operating on your own terms. Do not fall victim to this pressure. Standing up for yourself is how we destroy these power structures that have for years, centuries even, been in place to protect offenders and silent survivors. It's not your place to protect them. Self-preservation. Now, if you do accept someone's apology and then you offered them that forgiveness, you owe it to yourself to hold them accountable to this request. True apathy or true, Lord, I'm trying to get this out right. A true show of regret and a true show of being sympathetic for any wrong that someone has done to you. A true sign of this is by their corrective actions moving forward. And this is where you hold them accountable to this. If they're repeating offenses or consistently violating your relationship with other egregious acts, it doesn't have to be the same thing, but it could be other acts that they do that violate your relationship. Lies, disrespect, deceit, whatever it is. You don't have to accept it. And quite frankly, you need to cut these people out your life. Because what's the definition of insanity? I'll wait. You know it. And that's what you're doing. Being insane. And do know there is work to restore or repair relationships after offenses have been made. And you got to stand on business if they're truly sincere about reconciling from these offenses. Again, there must be action with the apology and not just a bunch of lip service. You often see a bunch of lip service from these companies. Say they do something that offends, and there's an uprising, an uproar of displeasure that comes about. Next thing you know, some either in-house PR or they hired some PR firm, and a statement has come out of, "Oh, we apologize. It wasn't our intent to offend anyone, blah, 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 blah. I did not say blah, blah, blah." But then you look and see, and there's little to no action to back up what they've said. This is what I'm talking about. Then you have these massive manipulators out here that when they're caught up, they ask for forgiveness. Make sure you stop letting these people play in your face. I don't care who it is. I don't care what it is. Stop letting them play in your face. Now, make sure that they're showing consistency over an extended period of time. You can't tell me you're sorry, you show reconciliation actions for 2 weeks, and then we're back at your BS. This is not a momentary satisfaction. This is consistent behavior that you're showing me. Don't allow them to sabotage your healing process. As I said before, I'll say again, self-preservation is vital. Take care of you. Protect you. Your smile and self-love is your rebellion against pain on your journey to healing. Let me say that again. Your smile and self-love is your rebellion against pain on your journey to healing. You're not obligated to forgive anyone on their timeline. But I do implore you to forgive. Release that off of you. Now, I'm saying forgive from a standpoint where you have been offended. If you're the offender, let me change my tone real quick. You need to go make it right. Plain and simple. Go make it right. Admit to your wrong. Show that consistent behavior of reconciliation and fix the problem. Life's too short. We have too much ahead of us to be sitting on BS and allowing that BS to get in our way. Okay? Now, as I close this out, I want you to realize and never, ever, ever forget. Forgiveness is not a moral obligation. However, it is an empowered decision to help you release the burden from yourself. Did you hear that? It's not a moral obligation. It's an empowered decision. So, before I end this episode, I want to ask you and issue you a challenge. And that challenge is, are you healing or just being silent as you go through the motions? Again, are you healing or are you just being silent as you go through the motions? Ask yourself this question. Take some time, evaluate, sit, and reflect. And once you have done this, say this to yourself. It's my peace on my terms. May the Lord watch between me and thee. And remember, if nobody loves you, Jesus loves you, and Tupac does too. Be blessed.